Let's think about your paycheck for a second. When that direct deposit finally hits your bank account, what exactly are you buying? I mean, most of us immediately think of the tangible stuff, right? Groceries, the car payment, the mortgage, maybe hitting checkout on that online shopping cart. But what if we completely flip the script? What if the absolute ultimate goal of your paycheck wasn't to buy more things, but to literally buy your own freedom? Today, we are fundamentally rethinking the entire purpose of money. We're going to see how true wealth isn't about luxury at all. It's about autonomy.
To help us unpack this massive paradigm shift, we're pulling straight from Chapter 7 of Morgan Housel's incredible book, The Psychology of Money. We're drilling down into what Housel calls the highest dividend that money pays. And honestly, it requires us to completely redefine what financial success actually looks like, especially for us here in America, where, let's be real, our relationship with wealth can get pretty tangled up.
Just take a look at this one stark number, 45%. According to a massive Gallup poll from 2019, 45% of Americans said they felt a lot of worry the previous day. Just let that sink in for a second. Nearly half of the country woke up and spent their entire day carrying around significant anxiety.
And this really highlights the bigger picture. When you compare daily stress levels, the gap is just wild. Globally, the average number of people reporting a lot of stress is about 35%, but here in the US, that number shoots all the way up to 55%. Despite being the richest nation in history, we are significantly more stressed out every single day than the rest of the world.
Section 1. The American Wealth Paradox. Richer, but more stressed.
So how exactly does unprecedented national wealth turn into such widespread individual anxiety? It's a mystery, right? Well, to figure it out, let's look at two totally opposite lives. On one side, we've got Richard Fuscone, Harvard-educated, massive executive at Merrill Lynch. He retired in his 40s, expanded this insane 18,000 square foot mansion in Greenwich that cost him $90 grand a month just to maintain, and then he lost it all in the 2008 financial crisis, bankrupt. Now look at the other side, Ronald Read. He fixed cars at a gas station for 25 years and swept floors at JCPenney. But when he died in 2014, the world was absolutely floored to learn that this humble rural janitor had quietly built a net worth of over $8 million. No lottery ticket, no rich uncle, just patient savings compounding over decades.
The crucial takeaway here is summed up perfectly by Morgan Housel. He says doing well with money has a little to do with how smart you are and a lot to do with how you behave. See, financial success isn't really about your IQ or having a fancy Harvard degree or a big executive title. It's actually a behavioral science. It's about mastering your own mind. Ronald Read behaved remarkably well. Richard Fuscone, not so much.
Section 2. The highest dividend. Control over your time.
Now, if behavioral psychology is the real secret to wealth, we need to understand what actually drives human happiness in the first place. Back in 1981, a University of Michigan psychologist named Angus Campbell went looking for the common denominator of happiness, and he nailed it. He found that having a strong sense of controlling one's life is a more dependable predictor of positive feelings of well-being than any of the objective conditions of life we've considered. Basically, autonomy, calling your own shots, matters way more than your salary, the size of your house, or how prestigious your job title sounds.
Because here's the thing. If you don't have autonomy, you experience what psychologists call reactance. It's that awful, resistant feeling you get when you aren't in the driver's seat of your own life. This explains why you could literally land your absolute dream job, doing work you genuinely love. But if you have zero control over your schedule and you're forced to do it on someone else's timeline, it can start to feel like a chore you absolutely hate. When your time isn't your own, you just feel disempowered.
Let's really lock this core philosophy in. Money's absolute greatest intrinsic value, and I really cannot overstate this, is its ability to give you control over your time. The ultimate goal of building wealth isn't to buy a Ferrari or an 18,000 square foot mega mansion. It's to buy your independence, piece by piece. Unspent assets give you the power to dictate what you do and when you do it.
Section 3. Buying your own freedom. The Derek Sivers math.
Okay, let's look at a highly relatable real-world example of how an average American used this exact mindset to buy his freedom super early in life. Derek Sivers, who later became a famous entrepreneur and musician, was living in Midtown Manhattan in his 20s, working a day job that paid just 20 grand a year. He was taking home about $1,800 a month. But instead of letting his lifestyle creep up, he hard-capped his living expenses at just $1,000 a month. No eating out, no taking taxis, nothing extra. He did this consistently for 2 solid years and managed to stockpile $12,000. And at age 22, with that $12K sitting in the bank, he realized he had enough runway to quit his day job, play just a few music gigs a month to cover his baseline costs, and become a full-time musician. He literally bought his total autonomy.
Fast forward years later, after Sivers had built a wildly successful company and sold it for millions, a friend asked him about the day he got rich, completely expecting to hear some crazy story about the big corporate buyout. But Sivers, he told the story we just talked about. He said selling the company didn't actually change much. It was just more money in the bank. As he put it, the difference happened when I was 22. He felt totally rich and entirely free decades before he ever made millions, simply because he had already purchased his autonomy.
Section 4. Hidden returns on savings. Beyond tangible goods.
You know, this story completely flips how we usually think about saving money. We are so conditioned to save up for something tangible, like a new truck or a kitchen remodel or a vacation. But let me ask you directly, how would you mathematically value the intangible stuff? What is the actual return on investment of cash sitting in the bank that gives you the option to just step off the competitive treadmill? What's the ROI of being able to pivot careers if you're burning out or retiring early? Or just waking up without that heavy, sinking feeling of financial worry?
Well, the answer is, it's completely incalculable. You literally cannot slap a price tag on that kind of piece. And because it's incalculable, because we can't just track it on a spreadsheet like a 5% interest rate, we tend to overlook it entirely. We sit there thinking cash earning 0% in a checking account is just wasted, totally forgetting the massive psychological return it's paying out to us every single day.
Let's break down the unseen power of having unspent assets. Having savings without a specific spending goal attached to it gives you options. It gives you flexibility. It gives you the breathing room to actually sit down and think. It allows you to wait for absolute no-brainer opportunities to come to you instead of forcing you to operate out of pure desperation. Think of it like this. Every single dollar you save is like taking a piece of your future that would have otherwise been owned by a boss or a bank or a credit card company and claiming it right back for yourself.
Section 5. True financial independence. Stopping the moving goalposts.
So how do we actually get there? How do we achieve true financial independence? Take a look at this psychological sequence of saving. Now, we usually think of saving money as, clipping coupons or hunting for the absolute best high-yield savings account. But Housel points out it's actually a deep psychological game. Here's how it works. You will only save more money if you spend less. You can only spend less if you desire less. And you will only desire less if you care less about what other people think of you. True independence is about finally ignoring the social pressure to keep up with the Joneses.
Look, everyone needs the basics covered, plus a comfortable level of fun beyond that. But past a certain income level, almost everything else you buy is honestly just feeding your ego. Wealth is created by suppressing what you could buy today so that you have more options in the future. Putting a lid on how much fun you can have with your money right now is the exact mechanism that guarantees your freedom tomorrow.
Which brings us to a brilliant quote by the author Nassim Taleb that perfectly captures our ultimate takeaway here. He says, "True success is exiting some rat race to modulate one's activities for peace of mind." That right there is what financial success in America should actually look like. Not the biggest house on the block, not the fanciest luxury car in the driveway, but the profound, unshakable peace of mind that comes from owning your own time. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a pretty provocative question. Next time you look at your bank account or catch yourself falling into your usual spending habits, ask yourself honestly, are you using your money to buy things or are you using it to buy your own freedom? The choice